Recording in progress.
Whenever you'd like to begin, sir. The meeting of the Newark Planning Commission will come to order. Will you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A little bit of housekeeping. For those participating via Zoom this evening, when you get to the item that you wish to speak on, please use the raise your hand feature, and city staff will turn on your microphone so that you can speak at the appropriate time. First item on the agenda is roll call, and let the record show that all members of the Planning Commission are in attendance this evening. Item B1 is approval of minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting of March 22nd, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Okay, Commissioner Aguilar, can I have a second?
A second.
Commissioner Otterstetter? Okay. And I don't have the voting. Is that not showing up? Now it is. Thank you. Okay, can I have everybody vote?
Oh. Yeah, we don't have the option to vote now.
Oh, here we go. Now I clicked it. I think I got it.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next item of business, communications. Do we have any written communications this evening?
There are none.
Thank you. That brings us to oral communications, item D, giving anybody in the audience an opportunity to address the commission on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. Do we have anybody out in the audience that'd like to speak? Seeing not, do we have anyone wishing to speak via Zoom?
No attendees are requesting to speak at this time.
Thank you very much. Okay, that brings us to item E. E1 is a hearing to consider U-21-03, a conditional use permit to allow a recycling center facility at 6711 Central Avenue. That's APN number 092-0074-301. The subject site is zoned general industrial and has a general plan land use designation of general industrial. And at this point, we'll let the staff member.
Good evening,
Oh,
Chair, members of the Commission.
Moment. We're gonna get the... there we go.
Finally, it's slow.
And before we get started, I do want to introduce our contract planner, Shweta Sharma, who has presented to the commission before one previous time, but never in person. So we thought we'd introduce her tonight. So, Ms. Sharma.
Thank you, Stephen. So I will be presenting tonight's item, CUPU-21-3. I'll be briefly going over the applicant's request and the project details. The applicant, Clark Clovis of Foremost Recycling, is proposing a new recycling facility with outdoor storage at 6711 Central Avenue. The zoning is general industrial and the current use is warehouse. Our municipal code does require a conditional use permit both for the recycling facility and an outdoor storage, so this CUP will cover both aspects of their operations. The applicant will be accepting, sorting, and storing construction debris from throughout Alameda County. The existing warehouse will be used for the sorting of the materials, and once they are built and ready to be picked up, they will then be moved to the outdoor storage containers. The applicant will be using the outdoor storage at the rear of the property closer to the aqueduct, and we have some visuals. As you can see, everything around this property is also an industrial use, either light or general industrial. The property is currently gated. There is barbed wire, which is required to be removed as part of the conditions of approval. The zoning map shows the parcel in question with the dark gray that denotes general industrial, and the parcels directly to the northeast are light industrial with the remaining darker gray general industrial. Here we have a site plan that shows where the scale is for when trucks will be coming onto the site. There are also parking for individuals near the front of the entrance, the existing building where the sorting will take place, parking for employees behind the building, and then where the outdoor storage will take place. The outdoor storage will be maintained in containers as shown on your screens right now. We wouldn't allow outdoor storage of materials that isn't wholly contained just for dust and debris control. The staff has analyzed the project for the required findings, and we do believe that the project meets all of the required findings, and it is meets the required zoning codes and will not have adverse effects to public health or safety. The tax revenues would exceed any costs that the city would endure as part of the development. The proposed use is in compliance with our standards once we go ahead and implement those and incorporate the conditions of approval. The design, location, and size of the activity are compatible with the existing and future land uses, which we would imagine will remain industrial. And the site is physically suitable for the use and intensity, and we don't believe there are any physical constraints. As this is a class existing facility and there are no new structures proposed, there's no new there's no expansion or additions. A Class 1 existing facilities categorical exemption is our rationale for why no further analysis is needed. It does meet the underlying zoning and general plan designation, which previously analyzed any potential environmental impacts. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission approve by resolution conditional use permit U-21-03 based on the findings and the conditions of approval provided in the draft resolution. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions, and hopefully the applicant is on the Zoom call. Mr. Clovis?
Yes, and Mr. Clovis, I will give you access to talk, and you may begin if you'd like to make any comments. And Mr. Clovis, if you'd like to speak, you have to unmute.
Thank you. I thank the staff for their report, and if you have any questions, I would entertain any questions.
Okay, before we open the public hearing, do any members of the commission have any questions for staff or Mr. Clovis? Commissioner Aguilar?
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple quick questions for the applicant, Mr. Clovis. And we were able to read through it in the staff report, but just for the benefit of the public and anyone listening in, Mr. Clovis, can you walk us through just kind of the standard or maybe samples of materials that are recycled on your site, and what a typical, I think it was referred to as like a payload, what a typical payload would look like as a truck comes in, what they're recycling, and what that process looks like?
Yeah, this is what we're requesting here is a small construction and demolition debris recycling facility, which would be something under 25 tons a day. These would be mostly debris box loads coming from new construction sites with wood cutoffs, sheetrock, metal, cardboard in them that we would sort out, and instead of taking a mixed load to landfill, take it and source separate it and market the material.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff or Mr. Clovis? Yes, Commissioner Otterstetter?
I do have a question for staff, I guess. I noticed on the condition of approval under the planning division section, if someone were to have a complaint about, let's say, noise at this particular site. How would that be handled and what would that look like?
So if there is a noise complaint, we would have our code enforcement division go out there. They do have devices that can measure the decibels, and if it exceeds what's allowed, we would then, engage in informing the applicant that they are not in compliance. Then it would be up to code enforcement to ensure that they either remain in compliance or there may be fees and they may have other actions taken against them. But we would work to resolve them either working with noise mitigation efforts or maybe a sound wall. We'd have to look at, if what the, because we're not expecting a lot of truck trips, 10 a day, it has to exceed a certain decibel for a certain number of minutes before it really constitutes a violation of our noise ordinance.
Commissioner, there's also condition F that
Right.
relates to parking and noise. So, if the director decided so, then we would require them to do a study to address it and then mitigate anything, as Ms. Sharma said.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that, and that's why I was asking specifically. So if a local resident decided that there was too much noise, they would then come to the planning commission or the planning group and file a complaint, and it would be handled from there as far as what kind of mitigation.
Right, it would go through code enforcement and then get to the director level, and then we would rely on that condition to have them study
Okay,
the issue.
thank you.
Any other questions before I open up the public hearing? I do. Commissioner Fitz?
Yes. I would like to know if there's, it's said that there would be trucks coming in. Is there, if you're going to expand the business, it doesn't look like there's a lot of spot on the site itself for trucks to back up and be stored. Do they come on an appointment basis when they come to drive in? Well, my concern would be they might be backed up onto Central Avenue if there were more than 2 or 3 trucks arriving at the same time. I was concerned about that. If there were more trucks than you proposed?
So that would be a good question for the applicant, Mr. Clovis.
Yeah, that would be for the applicant.
At this point, most loads are 4 to 5 tons. We wouldn't anticipate more than 5 incoming loads coming in a day. There would be enough room between the scale in the road to at least stage 2 trucks. These are just 10-wheeler trucks. They're not a long semi with a 40-foot trailer. These are just your standard debris box type trucks. So I wouldn't anticipate any traffic being backed up in the road. And if there were, we could stage them on property and bring them around the scale again. But turnaround times will be fairly quick. It's just to dump their load and out they go. Most of the trucks we'd have tear weights on.
Good, well, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Okay, seeing not, let's go ahead and open up the public hearing. And we traditionally will begin with the applicant. So I do have a question for the applicant. Have you read the resolution and do you agree with all of the conditions of approval?
Yes, we have, and yes, we do agree with the conditions.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing not, do we have anybody on Zoom who wishes to speak on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for any additional follow-up comments or questions.
Chairman, if I may, we have one condition we want to add here. It's mentioned in the staff report. It just inadvertently got left out of the conditions, and that is regarding the barbed wire. Ms. Sharma, can you read that?
Yes, so we had discussed removing the barbed wire that's shown on the gates at the front of the front of the site to be removed as a condition of approval, and that would be prior to certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so that was in the staff report. We're adding it to a condition of approval.
Correct, yes.
Will that be condition?
It'll be after the last planning one, so.
It can be
So
condition
it'll be
W.
condition 0 or O?
Okay, Yes,
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, so the public hearing is closed. Any other comments? Okay, at this point, then I will entertain a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Aguilar.
In terms of formality, because we added a condition, do we need the applicant's approval before making a motion?
Mr. Clovis, do you have any issues with that additional condition added?
No, staff had made it very clear of the conditions, and we're very well aware of it. And we are in concurrence with that.
Okay, so any motion that's made for this resolution, we'll go ahead and add that condition O to it.
Yes.
Okay, all right. At this point, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve by resolution the conditional use permit. Do I?
Move to approve.
Okay, Commissioner Otterstatter and Commissioner Fitz second. Let's go ahead and vote. Okay, 5 ayes. Thank you very much, and good luck, Mr. Clovis.
Thank you, and I appreciate work on this. Thank you.
Okay, we have no other item E. So we have staff reports, item F. Do we have any additional staff reports this evening?
Just one introduction tonight. Just one introduction tonight. I'd like to introduce Joseph Balabat. He is our associate planner that began with us about a month or so ago, I believe. Yep, comes to us from the city of Woodside, lives in Fremont. Don't hold that against him. And we are very pleased to have him on board. He's going to be working on a wide variety of projects, some of which will be coming forward to the Planning Commission. So you'll be seeing a lot of Joseph going forward. And I think some of you probably already met him at the Planning Commissioners Conference as well. So he was there too. Other than that, no other staff reports this evening.
Great, thank you, Mr. Turner.
Welcome aboard.
Yes, welcome aboard. Okay, that brings us to item G, commission matters, and we have one item tonight, and it's item G1, a consideration of an amendment to the Planning Commission bylaws. It's Article 3, meetings, Section 3.00, time, to change the regular meeting time from 7:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mr. Turner?
Sure, thank you. The Planning Commission expressed an interest in early February to consider a change of the bylaws to the meeting start time for Planning Commission meetings from 7:30 to 7 o'clock. And I think in part it was to standardize the start time between the Planning Commission and City Council in order to minimize any confusion from members of the public regarding the start time of our two most commonly held public meetings. Also, I think the 7:30 start time was meant previously to avoid conflicts with other public meetings, I think such as the school district felt that the 7:30 start time at that time was appropriate, but that conflict no longer exists. So the item to formally consider the bylaws change was introduced to the Planning Commission at the March 22nd meeting, and per the bylaws, it's a two-step process by which we introduce the item, see if there's any objections, and then bring the item back to a future meeting for a formal consideration. That's the point where we're at now. As per the staff report, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the requested amendment as shown in the staff report. No other comments from staff, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions regarding that very simple change? Okay, seeing not, can I have a motion to amend the commission bylaws?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Bogasich, can I have a second? Second. Commissioner Aguilar seconds. Let's go ahead and vote. Beat you to it.
Oops.
Let's see, let's try that again.
Okay, the motion passed. Ayes. Okay, so this will come back at the next meeting, the next regular meeting. At that point, then it will take effect with the next commission meeting?
Yes, at our next regular commission meeting will begin at 7 p.m.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next item is item G2. It's a report on city council actions. Do we have any report this evening?
There's no report tonight. However, I will make maybe some upcoming items with regards to the housing element. Commissioners might be aware that city staff and our consultants have begun a community outreach effort for the public and our stakeholders to be aware of the city's efforts to amend our housing element, which is required by state law. All cities in the Bay Area are going through the same process. Each city has a general plan, and within it, a housing element that sets housing policies and programs for approximately a 10-year period. We're all in the same cycle in terms of updates, and so each city in the Bay Area is going through that process. And so our public outreach process began a few weeks ago. We had some really good interactions with the public at the Family Day at the Park event last weekend, as well as at the library on Saturday afternoon. So we were able to answer questions and provide information about the housing element update. We believe that we'll be ready to bring forward draft housing opportunity sites in the city, along with draft housing policies and programs at a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the City Council in May. And so look for an email coming soon, shortly, to request your attendance at what we believe to be the first meeting in May, May 12th, with the City Council. So I'll send that notice out shortly and make sure that all planning commissioners can attend that meeting with the details. Other than that, no other reports out on council actions this evening.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item H, Planning Commission Commissioner comments. This was something that was added to the agenda after our last meeting. So do we have any commissioners that wish to make any additional comments or have questions? Commissioner Fitz.
Yes, just kind of following up with Ms. Stevens' comment that there is an online survey that people can take, citizens, go to the City of Newark website. In fact, I just did it this afternoon on what your comments are on housing. Are you satisfied with the housing? What type of housing you live on? It's all anonymous, and that is part of the process, I believe, and it should be done by everybody out in our vast viewing audience, and maybe the rest of the commission could do that too. That's the only comment I had.
Great, thank you. Any other commissioner comments this evening? Okay, seeing not, that brings us to adjournment. We are adjourned.